This is the music we're using.
And we're live out here at MJ Unpacked.
What do you think? Sometimes we do a little wave thing. Ari likes to do the wave.
Should we try it? I'm in the middle. You got to start the wave over there.
You gotta start the wave.
Start the wave now.
Oh, there you go. That's a big wave.
I know. I feel like his was really on point. Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey.
Welcome. Thank you. Welcome back to MITA Unshackled. I'm your host, Demitri Downing, with co-hosts
Ari Munoz and Destinee Blanco.
And producer. We are thrilled to be joined by our friends at Boveda here today with John and Jane. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Thanks for letting us on.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you guys. How are you guys enjoying MJ Unpacked?
It's good. It's been ramping up and getting busier. A lot of different ancillary products and then some brands here as well. So it's good.
Yeah, we're very excited to support. I think George has put together a great project and looking forward to supporting the brands as they develop on their mission to serve patients and consumers across the cannabis space, which I think is very exciting. But Boveda, I mean, we could get into, you guys are OGs. I know both of you guys personally. There's a lot of stories to tell. So why don't you give us like 30 seconds of your background and then 30 seconds of your background, just so people can learn a little bit about you. Then we'll talk about Boveda, which is a very short period of time.
Yeah, I've been in the cannabis industry since 2000 and nice clock.
No pressure.
Yeah, you might want to get your mic a little closer.
So, been in legal cannabis industry since 2014. Launched an edible brand called Cali Gold. It was a strain-specific chocolate out of Berkeley, California.
It's a good name.
Eventually sold it in 2018 and been working with Boveda ever since.
Excellent. Cali Gold was what kind of?
An edible company.
Edibles? Okay, cool. That's very cool.
We made chocolate.
Excellent.
I think I've heard of that.
Well, congratulations. And now you're with Boveda, and that's fantastic.
Yep.
And you got a strong LinkedIn presence.
Yes, he does.
Follow me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Drop LinkedIn warrior over here.
Jane?
Yeah, I'm Jane Plank. So I grew up in Minnesota. That's why I still have this weird accent.
Yeah.
And I did over 15 years of recruiting and HR work, and then got into Boveda. So moved down to Arizona, and about a year and a half under my belt for cannabis.
Which is doing amazing.
Thank you. So I handle Nevada and Arizona, but it really comes down to the people. Like, that's really why I like it. And it's, at first I was connecting people professionally with recruiting, and now I get to connect people and help them. And that's really, really fun.
Have a good time while doing it.
That's
really what it's about here in the cannabis industry, is those relationships that you build.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I prosecuted for 12 years, and I didn't know this going to law school or even graduating high school, but never get involved in a career space or a job where people just bring you negative energy all day long. Because a lot of bad stuff happens in any good job.
Yeah.
And at least you want to be involved in something positive. Prosecuting, witnesses, victims, police officers. Nobody wants to be there.
Yep.
So you go home and you're like, where do I find a drink in order to forget what I just had happen today?
Not here.
The cannabis industry is filled with people that are like interesting.
Yep.
And you have great conversations. We had a great conversation for an hour this morning. And, just fantastic. But let's focus on Save the Terps and Boveda a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the coolest things out there in the cannabis space. Yeah. People are probably saying, what does Save the Terps mean? But you can tie that in. Tell us about Boveda.
Yeah, go ahead.
Boveda's been around for 25 years. So started in the tobacco industry, created two-way humidity control for cigars. So replacing the traditional humidor. All Boveda does is regulates the humidity in a container. So been working in cannabis since about 2007 or 2008, I think. Created SKUs specifically for the cannabis plant at 58 and 62% relative humidity. And actually what it's doing, we say save the terps, because Boveda creates a monolayer, a micro-thin layer of moisture around the trichome, and it's trapping the terpenes inside the trichome. When you harvest the plant and you dry it out and you're curing it, and it sits unprotected over time, terpenes evaporate into the environment. So that's why when you open up a big turkey bag full of flour or a jar, you can get a big nose hit usually. All that means is the terpenes have evaporated from the trichome into the container, and you're smelling them there in the air. So Boveda does the opposite. It traps it inside the flour, so when you go to grind it and smoke it, it's still there. It just keeps your weed fresh. So we're here in the desert. It's about 20% relative humidity or 10% outside. You can usually grind your flour in your hand if you don't have a Boveda inside. We keep it sticky. in places like Florida or Cancun or somewhere really humid, you have the problem where you can't smoke your flower because
wet.
it's so wet.
Yeah.
Well, if you had a Boveda, you wouldn't
Moist.
have that problem. So from cure to consumption, we want people to use Boveda. So for a grower, a commercial grower on the back end, whether it's 1 pound, we have SKUs for 1 pound. Like this one right here, we have bigger ones for 5 pounds. And then we have for 1 ounce, and half an ounce, and 1/8. And then we have a new product here. The
Hot
Boveda,
off the shelf.
the
Hot.
Boveda
You
closure.
gotta hand one of those down.
Yeah.
Yeah, pass
This
them
is
along.
down.
The proper is humidity
Give us a
control, not,
Two-way.
not humidity retention.
Yes.
Because in Arizona, humidity retention.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Humidity control.
So what do you put a humidity pack in here, or it's
So
already?
it's our saltwater solution that is a patented formula. So that's part of the other difference as well from anybody else trying to do what we do.
So is this
The
a
Boveda
cap?
is built into the cap.
Into
So
the
this
cap.
is 4 grams of Boveda, 4 gram of Boveda solution built into the
and then
cap.
how many grams is this one?
That one's 67 grams of Boveda. That's for
67
1
grams.
pound of flour.
I was going to say, you have the different sizes, so you got it narrowed down, so this can only be used for
Up
67?
to. No.
Okay.
Up said 67 doesn't really matter. It's just our number.
What if I put it in like an 1/8 jar and it was this giant
It would
package?
just last forever.
Okay.
Yep.
It wouldn't
So
like harm
it
or
will
nothing?
nope, it won't overdo it. It'll just last forever.
And see, that was going to be my next question: is how long does will this last?
John's like, it's going in a different direction.
No, it's a good question. I mean,
That's
this
great.
this should last about 2 or 3 months. The packets, when they get hard, you have to change them. It depends on the environment. If it's really dry, it depends on how often you're opening it. That determines how much it's going to be working. These typically, we've tested them to work up to 4 months long. They're intended to be used in packaging, in final packaging for a brand. So if you have a cannabis brand that you're launching and you want to differentiate yourselves on the shelf with all of the other brands, you put your Boveda built into the cap. And by the time it gets to the consumer and they bring it home, it's still going to be working and the flour still will be fresh, because this is for an 1/8 jar, but this is enough to keep a half an ounce of flour fresh. So it's not gonna have to work that hard.
Right. Yeah. So this is really more for the dispensaries, because like an 1/8 will last me like 5 minutes.
Well, not the dispensaries, but
brand.
the
The
brands.
of
The brands,
course.
yeah.
For the 1/8
brands who are-
jars. So
because
yeah.
that's only 4 months it lasts, you say?
4 months.
Yeah, but it keeps the brands
On
fresh
shelf,
on the
so
shelf.
on
Well, if
shelf.
you're opening and closing
Okay.
it, like if
Yeah.
you hadn't touched it and you left it there for,
That'd be great. Yeah.
I can't tell you exactly because there's
You
so
never
many
know.
things,
Variable.
but
Yep.
it would
because
last
of
a while.
it being exposed to air and such.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
And it's child resistant.
So all
Nice.
all brands would be advised to use this for their packaging.
And again, as we're going to
This is
continue to do the automation, this
Yeah.
is one less step for them, right? They just put the cap
Right.
on and they go. They don't have
Yep.
to drop the little
Yeah.
sachet in there.
That's what I've been noticing lately. I think it was
Prime leaf?
Revenant. They had the little Boveda packs in there, the small square
Boveda.
ones.
Yeah.
Boveda.
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 Yep.
Boveda.
Yeah,
Boveda.
Potent Planet,
Boveda.
the farm. You know,
Oh,
a lot
no,
of them
it
are
was
starting
Potent
to.
Planet. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You were correct. It was
Yep.
Potent Planet
Maybe
in
we'll get some
Arizona.
Italian guy one day saying Boveda.
I know.
Boveda.
Yeah, please correct me.
Say that. It's Spanish.
It's Spanish for
Boveda.
vault.
It's
Boveda.
Spanish for vault, exactly.
Really?
It's Spanish for what?
For vault.
Vault? Boveda
Okay.
is
Yeah.
Spanish for vault.
Boveda.
Boveda.
In
Boveda.
español.
Dame la bóveda.
Interesting. And yes, so the consumer's not buying these. This is for the brand's packaging.
So you guys sell
Well, not
both
yet,
the top
not
and
yet,
the
but,
jar that
you know,
comes with
eventually,
it.
Correct. Yep.
Ultimately, it's not my company, but I would like to see. I mean, I personally use these at home. I have a jar and I have this cap. I use
I do
it, so
too.
I would like to see a consumer product that we make out of this, or a jar, a container that we have that somebody can buy in a smoke shop
Right.
or on Amazon or on our website and use it for their own personal stash because it works perfectly.
It's awesome.
So hypothetically, I'm like really, really curious about this now. If it was in like an actual container, so hypothetically, because
and
like
you happen to be here.
the testing in Arizona, sometimes like your harvest date will be like 5 months ago, right? So you get a product, but realistically, like it was sitting in somewhere in a lab, it was sitting somewhere for 5 months, and then it's on the shelf, and then who knows how long it sat there,
Yep.
right? So hypothetically, if they got their little product and they put this in there, and it sat there for 5 months or whatever and came out, would this change colors? Or after, say, a year, if it was on the shelf life, would it do anything to like emit different kind of fumes?
This is an evolving product. We're just launching this right now. So right now we know that it works for a certain period of time, but we don't have an indicator like we do with the SAT. the packs that will tell you that they've expired because they're hard and there's no color, and anything else that's on the market doesn't actually work.
But it doesn't harm it when it expires, right? It just gets hard and just stays there.
It doesn't harm it at all. All it's doing is not protecting the flower as much.
Yeah.
But if you didn't open a jar for a year, well, I don't know. I can't tell you if it's going to work or not because I haven't tested it. Well, I personally haven't, but
Nothing sits around for a year in John's world.
Listen, I'm
I'm
gonna
with you. It's a day.
put this
so
at
it's
home
not-
and leave it there for a whole year, and I'll tell you next year.
And it does come down to the jar that you're using, right? How airtight it is. We do a lot of leak down tests at corporate. We can send packaging to say, is this good, better, or best? If you can hold your weed and you can smell it, you're losing your terps. You know, like
Save
so.
the terps.
So it's as airtight
That's
as it
true.
is. That's how effective Boveda can be.
Boveda, we created this Boveda challenge kit where people.
That's right.
There were years ago when I started with them. All this rumors came out like Boveda steals terps. That's where Save the Terps came from. It's
'cause you're
because like
stealing the
everyone was like
terps.
Boveda steals terps. Boveda steals terps. I'm like, well, is Boveda really stealing the terps? And we're like, not me, but the company had to
Right.
investigate and say, well, okay, what's really going on here?
And
Why is
that's-
everyone saying that they're stealing the terps? Well, what's happening is, like I said before, creating that monolayer, trapping the terpenes inside. Well, now they're not being released into the bag or the headspace of the container. So we realized that it's not actually stealing the terps; it's saving the terps. So then we put it to the tests. So we have science backing up this. What we're telling you is that it's saving the terps, not stealing the terps, but also your experience. So we've created this challenge kit where you can take an ounce of flour, a half an ounce, divide it up into two, and do a blind test with a good container, and grind it and smoke it. Because if you just smell both jars, it doesn't matter what the jar smells like anyway. Grind the flour and see which one smells has more aroma.
That's right.
And without knowing if it was used with Boveda or not, and then smoke both of them and see which is a better experience. And you'll see for
Boveda
yourself.
challenge.
I don't have to tell you. I don't have to sell you anything. The
Try
product
it.
works. I
Yeah.
mean, it just works.
Try it. You'll
That's
like
like the
it.
I
Pepsi
was
challenge.
I was
exactly.
always
It
told
is like the Pepsi
It is
challenge.
like that.
if I was always told if you use these, you know, you only use them for like the certain amount of time that they need to be, and then you take it out because what it is it's consuming the air around it. So if you keep it that it's longer, like right now it's water, right? So when it kind of dries out, you want to take it out because then it's going to start taking the moisture out.
That wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't work anymore. But
just wouldn't
when
work
it gets
anymore.
hard, you're supposed to change it. That's an indicator it's not working anymore.
So is this water or what's inside of it?
Salt, water, and xanthan gum.
Xanthan gum.
It's a
These two are like
thickening agent.
professionals on this subject. You know,
It feels like a water bed.
like
It is. I want to line my walls
Yeah.
and then my bed.
Like just put this in my pillow.
A bova bed?
You guys should make Boveda pillows. Shut up.
Boveda pillows. I like that.
I like a big Boveda brown pillow like this and
good
make it
idea
like
for-
a water, you know.
Or to hand
water
out
bed.
at least. For
Yeah.
shows.
That's
This
the
might-
swag you're going to give away.
This might be a solution for late night nosebleeds for those of us who
Exactly.
get dry nose.
Exactly.
It is also.
Do not throw me off
You
for
can
a
also
second.
you can keep your food fresh.
I wish I
with
heard
it.
that.
You know, your bread, for example.
Yeah, dog
a lot
treats.
of us do use it for some food.
In the
Keep
bread.
the food fresh because all it's doing is regulating the humidity. So if no moisture is like coming in, there's not going to be mold in your bread. So
That's right.
You have different
What-
percents
I
too,
always
right?
have problems with fruits and vegetables in the
Nope.
refrigerator. Boveda.
So you guys came from the cigar industry, didn't you?
Yeah.
And what year did you guys figure out to join the cannabis?
I think it was 2007 or 2008.
2007.
The story is, I wasn't around then, but there was a bust on like some big shipment from the West Coast to the East Coast, and it was in the newspaper, and there was a picture with a Boveda in it, and that's when they were like, "Oh, look at the Boveda! They're using."
They're like, oh, they're
Boveda."
already using Boveda.
And
We
then
should
like
do
all of
this.
these orders started coming out of Humboldt and Northern California. Like, what the hell are they using this for? No, but the truth is that from the beginning they always knew that they were going to be able to use this technology for many different products.
Yeah.
We have Boveda for musical instruments.
I
It's
actually did see that.
Yeah.
With
The
wood
guitars.
instruments,
Yeah, a lot of
Guitars.
guitarists in cannabis. So yeah.
So, like a lettuce or something in the future, depends on the humidity. Like tobacco is 69% relative humidity, or 72, or maybe even 65
Yep, 65 for Cubans. Yep.
for Cubans. So,
Yeah, I'm
but
always trying
cannabis
to-
is a little bit drier because they have different levels of.
So how do you get
Yeah.
the percent down? Do you add like that other, like an additional micro layer? You put less water solution?
No, That's, I don't know. Our research department, they have different solutions for those different.
Okay, different solutions.
So that 58%, it could be 42. What are the different numbers you guys
49 for instruments, 58, 62,
69, 72, and 65
69.
for cigars.
have? All right, cool. I'm thinking my hot
Sorry.
yoga
Yeah.
percentage is like 40% humidity or something.
You're going to take a bunch of them in there to soak it all up?
No, they have humidity in them. They put the humidity in.
Yeah.
We want to set that. But
Hot
that's hot
yoga.
yoga.
Yeah, I'm a cannabis cultivator myself, so I would use probably the 62%.
Yeah, 60-60. You're going for when you're curing, you want 60 degrees
Yeah.
and 60% humidity. All that came back to moisture content and relative humidity where you want it to be. So that's where we came up with our 58 and 62%.
So where are you guys? I mean, we run into each other at conferences all the time. Where are you guys off to next?
Ooh. I don't have another trade show. I do monthly MITAs. That has been.
Monthly
I'm not tooting your own horn for
October
you,
26th.
but I've had a lot of success with doing that every month and having a table and meeting all the new brands. It helps me to stay up to date with what's happening in Arizona.
Yeah.
And and building the relationships.
We got to have John. John, you haven't been to one, right? Have you?
No, it's outside of my territory, but I am
But
going
you
to
come.
Mexico. I'm going to Hall of Flowers next week, and then I'm going to Mexico City like the week after, and then I'm going to Chile a couple weeks after that.
Are you Expo Weed in Mexico City?
Yeah,
You're
Expo
going to be
Weed.
at Expo.
Yeah, we'll be there.
We're going.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Are you
Well,
guys-
I'll be there too.
I
I'll
just got
go
my
support the
ticket.
booth. I'll come with like an air horn. Boveda!
Julian's event. Yeah, excellent.
Julian.
I've been talking to Ralph from Incubate.
Yeah, excellent.
Expo
Excellent.
Very
Weed.
nice.
Yeah, no, actually, that's a pretty good show. There's a lot of, it's a more consumer-based show. And OGs and black market, gray market in Mexico, it's just kind of weird right now.
Well,
But who cares?
We
you know?
don't have to wait for legalization.
Right.
Boveda can be used anywhere they smoke
Anywhere.
weed, and that has nothing to do with the law. So
Or eat fruit.
No, I mean, they have these cannabis marches in Mexico, and there's like 150,000 people, all with product, with vape pens from across the world.
but you can grow 100
It's just-
plants yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah, something like that. So
Nice.
there's all this activity happening, gray market, not necessarily cartel, organized commercial production, just gray market individuals, like OGs like California, maybe in the 80s or 90s, just people doing their thing.
Yep.
So it's a pretty cool, Mexico City is a pretty cool market. I like it. And when it goes commercially legal, hopefully, legal, decriminalized or something, I don't know.
Whatever they want to call it.
I'm not a fan of limited licensing, and that's coming down the choo-choo train tracks in Mexico. And I think it's
good.
going to, I'd rather see the gray market evolve into something a little bit better, but we'll see what happens down there. But it'll be fun.
Well, guys, do you have any closing thoughts or like positive messages that you want to share with the crowd to keep them going?
Wait, but before we closing thoughts and telling people how to reach you, we have a new tradition with our friends
special
at
gift
High
for you.
Point Jewelry.
What?
These are for you guys.
Hey, thank you so much.
Nice.
These are what we call the Glenn Murray Freedom Dog Tags.
Sweet.
He is Pam Murray, who's an OG in the Arizona cannabis industry. They were married. He passed away in December. And, good family, cannabis family. Glenn designed those, and, he helped me realize and helps me remember that the underlying theme of the cannabis industry isn't about substance abuse or substance use. It's about freedom. Mm-hmm. It's about choice. It's about free will. And that's something we can all agree on and all fight for. So we give people out the Freedom Dog Tags
I love it.
from High Point Jewelry.
Thank you.
So please wear it proudly.
Yeah.
And remember that it represents freedom. And closing thoughts, how to get a hold of you?
You can follow me on LinkedIn
You're a
or
big LinkedIn guy.
that's
Instagram.
You got to tell them your
Instagram.
name so they can look you up.
Jonathan Schwartz on LinkedIn.
Is there only one? Oh,
Jonathan Mark Schwartz. I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of us, but
From
you
Boveda.
can find me from Boveda if you look
Boveda.
for me. Instagram, John Schwartz 77.
Yep. And Boveda Jane, and then Jane Plank on LinkedIn. And we're not afraid to give out samples. So if people want to try it, get in touch with us.
Excellent.
We don't mind sending you some and experiment.
Don't smoke
Boveda
dry
challenge.
weed.
Yeah.
Don't smoke
dry
dry
weed.
weed.
Is that a catch line? Is that somebody patent that?
No
or
one
what?
likes dry weed.
Trademark
Yeah.
that?
Not yet.
That's a T-shirt.
I was going to say, that's the next
That's
t-shirt
your
you
next
need.
T-shirt.
Save the terps on the back.
Yeah, don't smoke dry weed.
Don't smoke
Save
dry
the
weed.
Terps
Save
is
the
probably a little
terps.
more business-oriented. Don't smoke dry weed.
No, on
Pretty
the
for
same
consumers.
shirt.
Same shirt.
Don't
Oh.
smoke bad or Don't smoke
Bad
dry weed.
And then save the terps on the
Figure it
back.
out. Trademark it fast. Thank you guys for joining us on Meat Unshackled, and we'll be seeing each other around for sure.
Thank you
Awesome.
guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you guys.
Stay safe.
Another episode of Meat Unshackled.